Back to the Lions now. Just want to play a little bit of sound for you guys that was collected earlier this week. Amik Robertson yesterday was in Detroit and had this to say about Detroit.
What's up, y'all? It's Amik Robertson checking in. Glad to be here. Glad y'all gave me an opportunity to help the team win, man. We're going to do great things. We got some great memories. Lions pride.
Can't you just tell you're going to like a guy?
I love him.
10 seconds. Can't you just tell you're going to like a guy?
I love him, and I loved the tape. Mm-hmm. I loved seeing what he did with the Raiders. Mm-hmm. He's a guy that don't take any nonsense. Uh-huh. That's another guy. Hey, you're small. Hey, shrimp, get the hell out of here. And he'll come and he'll put his helmet right underneath your chin.
Right.
Yeah, you're not surprised anymore because you're seeing the type of guys that Brown is consistently going after. I mean, you said that about Cam Sutton last year when we had him on the show. We said that about C.J. Gardner-Johnson. You said about insert David Montgomery. I still remember his face. He said, I don't care what I'm doing. I don't care if I'm getting water. I just want to play for the Lions. Mm-hmm. And you saw what he helped this team do. They're picking the right guys, man, and these guys can play. I watched him lock down Rashee Rice last season. Rashee Rice is one of the up-and-coming wide receivers in this league. He was number one for Kansas City last year. He locked him up like he wasn't even there. This guy can play football.
Speaking of lockdown, Carlton Davis believes he is one. This is Carlton Davis on what he believes he brings to the Detroit Lions defense.
You about to get a lockdown corner. You about to be able to have one side just like, unavailable. That's what I do. I'm here to take out the number one receiver on any team. I'm here to deny the ball. I'm here to take the ball away.
So he's got no shortage of confidence, that young man, Carlton Davis III, coming over from Tampa for a third-round pick, the Lions' third-round pick, so pick number 92 in this April's draft. But nonetheless, he's coming out here. You might not think you were getting a number one corner when you acquired him, but he says, yes, you are.
He's definitely a number one corner. I think his give-up rate last year was like 79% or something like that. When you get those type of numbers, you are a shutdown corner. I mean, there's no such thing as a shutdown corner anymore, but you're looking for a corner that can cover somebody. You're looking for a corner that can give you an opportunity to get to the quarterback, and that's just what he does. Those long arms, you heard Jamar Chase talk about, those long arms, they keep wide receivers out of the comfort of running a clean route. Like when a wide receiver can't run a clean route because you impede him by throwing your hands out there, now the timing is off with the quarterback. Now you can't be in the right spot and where the quarterback's looking for you to be. Those long arms, they make a lot of difference when you're playing that position, the DB position.
Perhaps there's no player that the Lions signed this offseason that is as big of a risk/reward as Marcus Davenport, though. A couple of clips from him. Davenport talking about Dan Campbell and the idea of this motto of grit.
It wasn't like biting kneecaps, but, it was something along the lines of, we got grit. And, sadly, that's the message I took away. Like, grit, like, he was being serious.
So these two, again, were together in New Orleans when Davenport was a member of the Saints. And, of course, Dan Campbell was there. Aaron Glenn was there. So there's some familiarity, Braylon. And how far does that go in a league like the NFL where Davenport played for Aaron Glenn before, now he'll play for him again?
You're always looking for familiarity, Ryan. Like if you're a guy that's funny and you had a funny teammate and, like that's the type of relationship, or you had a funny coach, if that's who you are, you're trying to get back to that coach. You like a funny locker room. If you're a guy that's a serious guy and you've played with a coach that's serious, kind of fits your element or a team or a system or other players, you want that. He's seen Dan Campbell, and Dan Campbell's seen him. He knows what type of player he is. He knows he's a player he knows he's a player that works hard. He knows he's a player that fits into a team system. That's why they like Davenport. Davenport knows that he's about that grit. He's about me going out there and giving everything that I have as a player, and then I can have some respect, and also the team aspect of it. You want to be around what you are. And he's a Dan Campbell type guy. That's why he plays for the Lions right now.
What about the fact that he's going to be teaming up perhaps with his former New Orleans Saints teammate Alex Anzalone as well? Here's his take on that.
Earlier, they're like, he's the alpha now. And I'm like, man, he's always been a good dude. I didn't expect nothing less. I'm just happy to see him running around making them plays, like getting excited. It's great to see someone who I don't want to say he might not have been as featured as much, but, he was a baller in his own right, and he's only came here and stepped up his game. So, just seeing that, gives me hope.
And again, and I'll go back to what I said with Amik Robertson. You look at this guy for 5 seconds and you love him. You know what I mean? If he can just stay healthy, this is a guy that you could root for. I love this guy already, just watching him throughout the press conference.
The story with the Saints and Anzalone, I watched that video a few times, and I think when someone said to him, Anzalone's the guy here now.
Right.
He's like, really? Because let's face it, we all thought that of Alex Anzalone, right? We didn't think
he wasn't. He was on the verge of not making the team.
Correct.
In the Hard Knocks season.
In Hard Knocks. So Davenport's like, oh, he's come a long way. In other words, basically, and he has come a long way.
Yeah, 100%. And it's funny. I wrote down two things in terms of what he was talking. The first thing that he said was Anzalone's a good dude, which goes back to what we talk about, the type of guys that Brad Holmes are bringing in. They're not only team guys. They're not only guys that can have good input and good value. They're good guys, Ryan.
Right.
They're good guys. They're guys you want to be around. There's guys you want to be on your team. And definitely the thing about Anzalone, he talked about, he's like, basically, that's what I was going to say, man. I'm like, he basically was saying, like, he was a scrub.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, he was a scrub that just worked hard but was a good guy and that you wish good things for. He kept his head down. He kept working. We saw Anzalone in 2021. I told you I didn't like him.
Right.
I said, that baby Thor and all this stuff.
Yeah.
I said, he can't go side to side. He can't cover any tight ends. Like, I didn't like him. He's worked hard. He's gotten better and better to the tune where you got Baldy breaking him down and giving him love. 100%. He's worked hard, and he's deserving of everything that comes his way.
Just speaking of Anzalone, that just shows you how you can change a person.
Yeah.
How you can give them confidence and love, and nurture them and bring them up. I don't mean to sound like I'm a mother, but in reality, Bray, if you go to a team and you have a coach that is on you all the time and really doesn't pay you any respect, and then you got another guy that you work for, like a Rex Ryan, that likes you, busts your chops once in a while, but puts you up on a pedestal, don't you play better for him?
Yeah, you absolutely do, and I'll break that down a little further. You got to admire the coaching position so much. I always tell you my story with Lloyd Carr going back. Look, there's 122 personalities. Now, maybe he's only paying attention to the 86 on scholarship. But that's 86 guys that he can't talk to the same exact way. One guy has no parents here. He's from California. So you got to be a little nicer to him. You got to put up with a little more of his BS. Another guy has two parents here. His father's a Michigan man. You can put him through a little bit more. A support system dinner. The way good coaches can pull it out of you. The way good coaches, they know when to ride you, pause. They know when to back off. They know when to, I got to push this button a little bit because I got to get this out of them. Great coaches can do that for you, and I think that's what this staff is. Like, that's what this staff is with the Detroit Lions. You got all these former players who are basically coaching these players on how they wanted to be coached, how they wanted to be talked to. Steve Hyden is one of my former teammates. Hank Fraley is one of my former teammates. I mean, I know half this coaching staff. They are treating these players the way they wanted to be treated, and the ones that have had success, they're pushing them the way they know they can have success. You got to tip your hat off to Dan Campbell for hiring this staff and firing some guys to make it even better. Deshae Townsend and Greg Towers coming in.
I love it.
Without having the benefit of the NFL draft yet, with where it stands right now, what are, and quarterback aside, what would you say position group? Give me the top 3 position groups on the Detroit Lions right now. What would you say they are?
The top 3
position groups.
Okay, I got you.
O-line.
Just right now, O-line.
O-line number 1.
Backfield.
Running back field number 2.
Tight end.
Defensive line.
I would say O-line with tight end is the same.
Okay.
Okay.
So O-line, running backs, and if you go to the defensive side,
I'd say D-line.
I'm with you 100%.
And that's exactly what I was getting at. I think this upgrade of the defensive line, this one player specifically in DJ Reader, makes everybody so much better. It makes a Lee McNeil better.
Hell yeah.
It makes Aiden Hutchinson better. It makes James Houston better. It makes Josh Paschal better. If Marcus Davenport is healthy, it makes him better.
He's going to be.
That one signing along the defensive line has taken that group from here on the team strength chart, I'd say, and has brought it up here a couple of pegs. Pretty significant.
Does it improve the linebackers too?
It does 100% because it starts in the middle. It works outward. So you start with the defensive line. You shore that up. Now you're helping your linebackers, which is ultimately going to help your defensive backs as well. I remember this. I remember Lamar Woodley's rookie year. Well, not rookie year. I remember his freshman year. First year he played. Didn't necessarily have a great defensive line in terms of the interior, but we had some good outside linebackers. Insert Alan Branch. Insert Gabe Watson. Lamar Woodley turned into the best outside linebacker in Big Ten and won. It was first team All-American by his junior year. That's because they shored up the interior linemen. They took away the double teams, the triple teams, and allowed him to play one-on-one. Allowing outside linebackers or edge rushers that have that type of skill to go one-on-one is insane. That's why you see guys like T.J. Watt have 22.5 sacks. Who's he playing next to? Cameron Hayward.
Yeah.
Or Casey Hayward, excuse me. It's not Casey, but Cameron. I said it right his first name. Cameron Hayward, one of the best defensive interiors. You looking at inside and you got a guy, 9 times out of 10, that guy on the outside is eating Nick Bosa, Eric Armstead. You get a guy on the interior like that, makes Aiden's job so much easier.
I'm on a little bit of a list kick now, and I'm just kind of, just by the fact of this conversation, the Eagles got Saquon. I think what people have done within the division has been nice, but nothing. The Packers with Josh Jacobs, I think that was significant.
I think the Vikings with Aaron Jones.
That was it.
But it's very, very quietly, very good.
But they're going to have a rookie quarterback. Chicago's going to have a rookie quarterback. So not that a rookie quarterback, and we've seen it with C.J. Stroud. I don't want to discount that. But you've got 2 teams in the division that are going to have a rookie quarterback. And that might be significant a year or 2 from now. But I think this year the Lions could handle a rookie quarterback. Maybe I'm oversimplifying it, but I would trust the Detroit Lions within the division to beat up a rookie quarterback a little bit. Maybe I'm totally wrong on that, but I would take Lions over Minnesota and Chicago right now based on those rookie quarterbacks.
I understand that. And look, I'm still with the Detroit Lions, okay? I'm with the Lions 100%. Don't not take Chicago serious. Look, I understand that. You say Caleb Williams. Look, Caleb Williams is supposed to be, and the key word is supposed to. He's supposed to be this, heir apparent, transcendent, generational talent, etc. If he's half of that, he's got 2 number 1s in DJ Moore and Keenan Allen that can ball. Keenan Allen's one of my favorite wideouts in the game. When he's healthy, he's unstoppable. Now you mix it with DJ Moore, who's also unstoppable, and Cole Kmet and DeAndre Swift. If I'm the Chicago Bears, I'm leaning more towards offensive line in the draft.
All right, let me do this. Let me do this.
They're serious.
Let me do
Ryan.
it this way. Let me do it this way. After the Eagles got Saquon, after Packers got Josh Jacobs, after what Chicago's done with the defensive side of the ball, 49ers really haven't done a ton. Rank your NFC teams for me right now, top 3 or 4.
Top 3 NFC or NFC North?
Just NFC. NFC. Biggest challenge. Lions have made some additions.
Lions won.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
49ers have gotten worse.
Okay.
In my opinion. Lions won.
I got it.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say Green Bay too.
Yeah.
I was gonna say Green Bay too.
Yeah. I got Lions, San Fran, and Green Bay.
Yeah,
that's
Lions,
my 3.
I got Lions, Green Bay. I really don't want to say San Fran, but I have to.
You have to.
For their track record. San Fran. But don't sleep. Don't sleep on the Rams. Don't sleep on the Rams is what I'm going to tell you. Rams are my number 4
They got
team.
worse today.
Rams are my number 4 team in the NFC. I promise you that. But Keenan Allen move and the Marquise Brown move are the 2 best moves I've seen next to DJ Reader.
Well, we can continue to talk about that right now if you
Who's
want to go
your
there.
3?
Who's my 3? I think the Lions are the best team in the NFC.
They are.
I think you've got to put Green Bay up there as well.
Yep.
And I would put Philadelphia up there.
Okay.
I think Philadelphia got significantly better with Saquon Barkley. They
got a sleeper.
Added a couple of defensive pieces too. I really like what Philadelphia's offseason has looked like.
They still got Nick Sirianni.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I don't like their hierarchy in the coaching staff. 6 new players for the Detroit Lions. Obviously, first-round pick Terrion Arnold. Ennis Rakestraw Jr. They trade up and get in the second round. Let me tell you about this kid, too. This is a player that Brad Holmes absolutely loved. This is, first of all, I'm going to go in order here. This is Rakestraw talking with CBS at the Combine. Let me go in order here.
As a pro, once you get into the league, what makes you think that you're going to be the best corner coming out of this draft?
I'll say I'll start with accountability, because without accountability, you won't touch the field. I got to go in there and gain the trust of the older guys and the coaches right away so they can feel comfortable with me and knowing I'm going to be in the right place at the right time. That's number one for me. I have no personal goals in the league. The first thing I want to do is win over my teammates and show them I can play special teams, slot, corner, whatever they need me to do. So that's my goal. And then doing those and achieving those things and put me where I want to be as a player.
So there's Rakestraw there. What about Brad Holmes? Okay, what about Brad Holmes talking about Rakestraw? Loves this kid.
We didn't go into it saying that we were gonna get 2 corners, you know, in the first 2 rounds. We really didn't. It's just he was the best. He was the highest graded guy, you know, for us at the time. So we went ahead and you know how we roll. You know, we went ahead and got him. But those were also our top 2 ranked corners as well.
Can I just say this quick
please,
about that last part? The grading system that Brad Holmes and Campbell and the entire Scouts organization with the Detroit Lions, what they see in players is different than from what anybody else sees. I really believe that. They did it with Gibbs last year, Gibbs over Bijan Robinson. They had this year, and I really believe them. Maybe that's my mistake. Maybe I shouldn't believe them, but I really do believe
Worked out pretty good.
that these are the top 2 corners on their board, and they got them both.
Yeah, 100%. You know, we talked before the draft. Brad Holmes is the magic that he's worth, a.k.a. the mad scientist. What he's done in the draft has allowed us to sit back at home, and when they make a pick, when they take a player, no matter what school, no matter what pick, no matter what the injury situation is behind that player, you believe in that player because you know they really vet these players and they really go through the process. I like Rakestraw a lot, and if they said they were 1 and 2 on their board, then darn it, they're 1 and 2 on the board. We know Terry Arnold was most people's number 1, so we know that. And if this is the guy that they want, that fits their system, that fits Aaron Glenn, that fits the way that they're going to be coached, then this is the guy. I'm excited for this pick. And also, too, you look at it. He's an Alabama guy all the way went to Missouri. People that don't know the story, he was going to Alabama. Nick Saban was really recruiting him heavy. He legitimately was on his way. He had verbally committed to go to Alabama. At the last second, he decided to go to Missouri because he wanted a program that wasn't built from the ground up. He wanted to be a part of a program that wasn't, insert 5-star here, you go to national championship. So he went to Missouri. He took the longer route and the harder route, but he is a leader. He's a stud, man. I like this pick for them. Another thumbs up for me.
I love these kids, man. What a difference from last year and the year prior, the defensive backfield, to the one you're going to see coming up. And I don't think they're done with free agency yet. I still think Stephen Gilmore comes here. This team, like we said, they're only 1 or 2 players away from really maybe getting to that Super Bowl. And that's exactly the way he drafted.
Well, you talk about all these defensive backs. You know, not only the 2 they got in free agency, but then they added Emmanuel Mosley. They've got their top 2 picks are corners. There's only so much time out there to play. Brad Holmes addressed that over the weekend as well.
A lot of these guys, where we're at as a roster, man, if they win a spot and play, then they play. If they don't, they don't. Like, I don't, you look at the corners, like, yeah, we really like these corners. They're rookies. I don't know, they got to win a spot, but because Carlton Davis has been a proven starter. A healthy Emmanuel Mosley is a proven starter. Amik Robertson is a proven, like, these are good players that have been proven starters that's made play. You know what I mean? Like, it's not just a given, but they all want to play. They're all wired right. But, man, look, and it's good to be there from a roster standpoint, you get, if these corners, they play. They got to win a spot. And that's for everybody. So it's a good feeling to be in a spot where we feel good about the depth we have. We feel good about the future we have. But, man, those guys got to compete and win spots. But I know that we're a better football team now to take that step.
What do you think that competition is going to look like come training camp?
Yeah, I mean it's a bloodbath in there now. It is, and that's what makes everything better. That's what makes it makes the room better, makes the defense better, makes the team better. Competition just brings the best out of everybody.
I just love that. I absolutely love that. You create competition at those positions. get people on your team, sign players on your roster that aren't afraid to compete. Nothing is owed or guaranteed to one player on this roster. You want time? Go win time.
Yeah, 100%. In 2007, I was with the Cleveland Browns, and they had drafted me in 2005. They had brought in Joe Jurevicius in 2006. They brought in Tim Carter from the New York Giants in 2007. They drafted Travis Wilson, a wide receiver out of Oklahoma in the second round. You're just loading it up. At the end of the day, it's up to those players to make those plays. It's up for those players to show you why they deserve to get on the field. Just because you draft a player, Tom and Ryan, just because you bring a player in free agent, that doesn't guarantee you them a spot. That doesn't guarantee that they're going to be the best players or they're going to be the ones that are in there in an intricate part of what you want to do. So I love what Brad Holmes said about that. He's creating competition. That's where you get the best. When you bring in the type of players, whether it's free agent, whether it's draft, the type of players that want to work. We showed that Tyreek clip last week. You put it in, Ryan. Tyreek was just talking about pause. When Tyreek was talking about, I messed up in the playoffs. That's on me. He can talk to me like that because it's my job. That's the type of players that Brad Holmes is bringing. The type of players that Brad Holmes is drafting. These Bama kids in his Rakestraw, and we'll get to the rest of the guys in his draft. Competition is how you're going to play for a team that finished top 4 in the NFL last year, the Detroit Lions.
And as Detroit Dabber puts in the chat, Amik Robertson actually retweeted that clip and loved what Brad Holmes said. And I think that's part of it, too. Like, you have to get players on your team. And in all of these draft picks, whether it's, Terrion Arnold or Ennis Rakestraw or anybody else that we'll talk about down the line, you just hear these guys speak, and you're like, that's a Lions player.
That's a Lion.
That's a Lion. You know what I mean? Just how this culture has changed in just 3 short years.
Amazing.
You hear Terrion Arnold, Lion. Rakestraw, Lion. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's just so great. Amik Robertson retweets the Brad Holmes sound on competition. Lion.
Easy.
These guys run towards competition. They don't run away from it.
The thing that they run towards is transparency, Ryan. You've talked about this. Ryan, you've talked about this. I mean, Maz, you've talked about it as well. When you're in the league, you just want a coach to be honest with you.
That's it.
You just want a front office to do, Maz, not even 100% of what they say. Just give me 50, and I feel okay. The Detroit Lions are doing more than that. They're telling guys, look at the drafts, look at the players, look at who they paid before the draft. They paid their guys, so they're showing guys, hey, look, you come in here, you take care of business, you do what you're supposed to do, you honor the contract, or we're going to take care of you and we'll take care of you in spades. They paid Amon-Ra St. Brown, they paid Penei Sewell, and we know what's going to happen with Jared Goff. It's not done now, but it will be done in the future. If I'm Amik Robinson and I see that, it's very simple. They're not making things up. They're not hiding things in the background. You come in, you play well, you'll be a Lion. We'll take care of you. If I'm a draft pick and I see this blueprint, it's no funny money. It's no Minnesota Justin Jefferson situation. It's not a player that's outplayed the contract, but now they got to beg and plead with the front office to get paid. They're showing you, you ball out, you do what you're supposed to do, you're going to get paid. If I'm anybody in this draft that got drafted by Detroit Lions, I'm licking my chops because I know it's simple. Come up, show out, get paid. Oh, by the way, win games.
Did you hear Amon-Ra St. Brown over the weekend? This is a way different Lions team than when I got picked 3 years ago. And really, and we said it, nobody wanted to come here. Yeah. Now, this is a destination. Look at the kid. The first round draft pick, Terrion Arnold said, he called the Lions and said, trade up to get me. I want to stay here. The kid slept in his hat. So did Ennis Rakestraw. Slept in his hat. They want to be here, man. The kid that we're going to talk about, the offensive lineman from Canada.
Yeah.
They said it. If he gets drafted by the Lions, sky's the limit for this guy because he's going to be able to learn from the best offensive line in football.
Everybody always asks me they ask me now, they ask me then, did you want to get drafted by the Lions? Back then it was, do you want to get drafted to the Lions? Why are you asking me this question? No, nobody wanted to play for the Detroit Lions. Nobody wanted to play when I got drafted. Nobody wanted to play 10 years after I got drafted. Hell, they didn't want to play 15 years after I got drafted. That shows you how old I am. But now the culture has changed, and it's changed in, 3 years? 3 years, a team said what they were going to do, and 3 years later they followed suit. The Detroit Lions, it's crazy to say this, they might be the blueprint for how you run a franchise in all 4 major sports. They might be the blueprint.
It's the world is upside down.
There's no
Hell
doubt.
must have frozen over.
Now I want to get to this guy as well. Giovanni Manu, okay? This is who Maz has been talking about. This is who a lot of people is, this mammoth of a human being, a 4th-round pick number 126 overall. I knew nothing about him. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I knew about this guy, but you look at his measurables, you see the tape, you hear what Field Yates says, and then the Lions trade up to get the guy. You're like, okay, if like you said, if there's one team out there that is the perfect situation for a developmental player at O-line, it's this team.
Yeah, you look at Giovanni Manu. Look, I didn't even see the film on him until Saturday. But when you watch the film, he's 6'8", 350 Maz, and he can move his feet like that. Did you see how he stock blocked the rush in, blocked him into the middle of the traffic? Like, the guy can move. His first time really putting eyes on him. And then he gets the chance to sit behind Taylor Decker, sit behind Frank Ragnow, sit behind Penei Sewell. And he's from the Tongan Islands, which, like you said, is neighbor to the Samoa Islands. So Penei is going to have his back.
Oh, God, yeah.
Those guys are down. I played with some of the Ooses, as you call them, the bros. Like, I played with a couple of those. Wrestling to teach you a little bit about that. But when I was with San Francisco, whether it was Ice, whether it was Simone Pua, when I played for the New York Jets, they come to work. They bring that hard hat. Penei Sewell has taught you that. So now he gets to, and then Penei's one of his role models. He gets to play one of his role models, and it's one of those picks where these guys are getting up there in age. You talk about Taylor Decker last offseason. You talk about Frank Ragnow. They're going to eventually be gone. You get a guy who's a project sit-down racks for a year or two. This is another heck of a pick.
Not only that, they'll be throwing to him in the end zone at 6'8".
Yeah.
Well, you know, it does feel like a need. It does feel like a luxury pick at the same time, because where this Lions team is right now, where this franchise is right now, you can take a shot on a developmental player like this in the 4th round. Yeah. You don't need a player there to come in. You're desperate on a guy. You hope he can hit this year, like Amon-Ra did in the 4th round. Not saying they were desperate to pick Amon-Ra, but you basically have to absolutely hit every single draft pick that you make when your team is as bad as the Lions were 3 or 4 years
and they
ago.
Hit 90% of them.
Yeah, absolutely. But this, because of where your roster is, you can take a shot on somebody that is a, potentially high risk, very high reward.
And I know we're going to get into the guys in the later rounds. We'll break it down, go in order. But also, doesn't it kind of feel like because of the two – I guess I should wait until we finish talking about it.
No, let's keep going here.
It seems like we took 2 shots, okay, in the middle round. It seemed like, hey, with the running back –
Sione Vaki. You got him right now, too.
It was amazing.
You want to hear Brad Holmes?
Let's do that and I'll go after.
Brad Holmes talking about Sione Vaki.
Worked out as a DB. Very long DB workout. And the DB workout was really good. And then he worked out as a running back. And then good running back. And then after the running back workout, then he works out as a wide receiver. And then he does a wide receiver workout. Then he works out as a special. And you see all that, and the guys, the fact to even go through all those different phases of that workout was impressive in itself. So just the love for him just kept growing. But he's a very unique player. Again, it's nothing saying that he cannot play safety, but our vision of what he can become as a runner, but it starts with those special teams.
Please.
Yeah, and this is another one of those picks that you're really going to try to player development this guy. Look, everybody's laughing at his ability to play running back. Look, he was in the same backfield with Najee Harris when he was in high school, split time with Najee Harris. We know how good Najee Harris was at Alabama at the running back position. Now, so you know that it's a legit position there. Safety is what he's best at. It's a fundamental developmental player. He, as well as Giovanni, Manu, guys are all over the field, by the way. Vaki was all over that field for the Utah Utes. Utah, the last 2 seasons, damn good team in the Pac-12. In a tough division last year, Matt, as you point out, a tough conference.
You bet.
But it seems like they made the developmental picks where we're going to put this guy in the secondary, which now seems to be much better, much more improved with the additions of Carlton Davis and Mick Robinson and now Terry and Arnold and Wakestraw. So he'll have time to kind of figure things out, if you will. But it seems like because of what they got out of the value of the back of the rounds, man, as the 2 players that they picked in the 6th rounds, one of these players is projected to be a 3rd-round pick, the other a 4th-round pick. You get those guys essentially in the 6th. It seems like even if you reverse the draft, you still have an A-, B+ draft and got the guys that you needed and picks that were valued the way they were supposed to be.
Both picks in the 6th round, Mekhi Wingo, the defensive tackle from LSU, and Christian Mahogany, interior offensive lineman from Boston College. 2 very quality players. I think a lot of teams liked. Why they went in the 6th round, I don't know. Why did Amon-Ra St. Brown go in the 4th round?
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just not an exact. Why did Michael Penix go number 8 to Atlanta? I don't know. The draft is not an exact science. It's very imperfect.
6 players they brought in this year. You only need 2 of those players to really make an impact on this team currently
And
this year.
And you know, we assume the 2 defensive backs in rounds 1 and round 2,
That's
Arnold
it.
and Rakestraw, are going to contribute to this team.
Yep.
And then can you get one other guy to potentially contribute, be it in the backfield, in the running back? We have seen last year how many times did Craig Reynolds need to be called upon? How many times, with Khalif Raymond going out, do you need a kick returner? Well, Sione Vaki.
We're going to love this guy.
And Brad Holmes loves him. Here's Brad Holmes talking about the Lions' 4th round pick.
It was really impressive. I don't think I've ever seen a player do basically a 4-position workout at one pro day. It was really impressive. You got to dig deep to get that done.
What were the 4 positions he trained at?
Yeah, so he did a DB workout first, same as he did at the Combine and, being at the Senior Bowl. But, he did a DB workout first. It was a long DB workout, in my opinion. I thought it was one of the longer DB workouts that I've seen. He did that first. So I'm watching Pro Day, and I was like, did he even do any running back stuff or catching the football? So then after the long DB workout, then you saw the running back stuff. And so then he does running back stuff, all the drill work and bag work and footwork stuff and all that stuff. So then he does a wide receiver workout. So he's the slot receiver, outside receiver, backed up, going in the red zone. And then I'm like, man, and you would think that he was almost about to just fall out. But and you can see him sometimes he's been sober, but he's taking deep. He's standing up and he's doing it. And so I'm like, okay, he's had enough. And then the workout keeps going, and now he's doing a special teams workout, and he's fielding punts, he's fielding kicks, and it was very impressive. But that's what type of kid he is. He's another kid that we really enjoyed getting to know during this process. But we're excited to get to work with.
Maz, you're right. They're definitely gonna love him, and I'll let you elaborate more on that. I just want to break down how hard those pro day workouts. I only did one. I did the wide receiver position. I never played anything else in college. They try to wear you down because they want to see where do you dig from when you're tired. Can you catch the ball when you're gassed? Can you run the right route? Can you get the right depth? I had to just worry about that, man, the wide receiver position. And those workouts do last upwards of, 45 minutes. That's a long time to work. Now, you're not only doing the wide receivers. Now you're doing running back drills. Now you're doing cornerback work. Now you're even doing special teams work. There's a reason why they draft this player, man, to go through a workout like that. Because I remember just doing wide receiver, and I thought, all right, you're getting towards the end of it. He's like, have you seen everything you need to see?
Well, because your heart's pumping as well.
100%.
It's not just
You're
working
nervous.
out.
You're interviewing for your life.
Every aspect of that entire second is critiqued.
Yeah, so get through 4 workouts.
He's a Swiss Army knife, this guy. You use the word a lot, but this is a guy that a lot of teams have. Now the Lions have one, and you're gonna be in love with this guy. And just in case someone gets hurt in the defensive backfield, hey Vaki, go play out there.
He's legit too. He can play.
Yeah.
Patrick O in the chat says Vaki on special teams, and that's really an underrated aspect of his really availability is his ability on special teams. This is a team, the Detroit Lions, that values special teams. They don't see 2 sides of the ball. They see 3. They see offense, defense, and special teams. And if that's a player that can help them, look at what they did for Jalen Reeves-Maybin. Made him the highest paid special teams player in the NFL. That's 100%. A team that values that side, that element of the game.
I remember I didn't respect special teams necessarily much. Don't get me wrong. I know what special teams is. I've played football my whole life. But when you're looking at the grand scope, when I got to the NFL, I'm like, there's offense, there's defense, and there's special teams. I mean, they're in there, but it's offense, it's defense.
You're good if you're not in at that
100%.
point.
I remember Jerry Rossberg, who was a special teams coach for the Browns when I was there. He said this in year 1. This is 2005. He said, if you don't have a special teams, he said, you're not making the playoffs. You're not going to be a good team. I said, we're arguing. So you can make it to the playoffs on great special teams. It is what it is. I'm young. I'm a hot shot. I'm saying it is. All special teams sucked my first year, sucked my second year. We were 3-13 and we were 4-12. Third year we were 10-6. We had one of the best special teams units in the NFL, and I saw the value of having all three phases. When you have all three phases, and now that they're changing the rules a little bit in this game, you're gonna want to have all three phases sold up. And a player like this, he can be that catalyst. It's just like the Patriots. They've had the guy that's made the Pro Bowl for the last 10 years in a row. What's his name? He's a leader, too. I can't think of him.
I think he just retired.
He just retired. Yeah, whatever his name
Matthew
is.
Slater.
Matthew Slater. There it is. He's a guy that you can trust. You need leaders for all three phases, and he could be a guy that could be a leader for the special teams unit.
You talk about these players. We don't know whether they're going to hit or not. We think there's good value. We think they're going to be okay. Warren Sharp put out where he thinks the Lions draft class is going to rank.
Look at that.
And it's pretty
on
high.
Top.
It's number 1.
Yes.
It's the best
Sharp football is a great
value.
follow, guys.
Yeah, it is. It is the best value of the 2024 NFL draft.
I like it.
I mean, the top 5. Top 5 was really good. I think the Dolphins had a good class. The Chiefs got better.
Yeah,
how could the Chiefs get better? You know what I mean? They
got their Tyreek Hill.
Exactly what they set out to do. The Chiefs did. The Steelers, absolutely. And, of course, I thought the Eagles, again, had a really nice draft. The Eagles are going to win that division again this year after taking a one-year hiatus.
Where do they have the
off.
Ravens? Can you see?
Baltimore Ravens is 7th on this list.
They're top 3.
Yeah, you think so?
Trust me. They're top 3.
Yeah, so again, Lions getting a lot of love from a lot of different people, and really specifically their top 2 targets in the first 2 rounds.
Now they just got to play.
Arnold and Rakestraw.
I know you love the Ravens, man, and you have every right to love what they do as a front office, what they've been doing for years. I remember being in that division every year, Ryan, and speaking of that division and players drafted, saw Haloti Ngata, still a mountain of a human.
Patrick Queen.
Still a mountain of a human. But every year, Ryan, we would just look like Cleveland. I'm hanging out with the Browns and we're chilling, watching the draft. We're like, how the hell did Baltimore get that guy?
Yeah.
How the hell did the Baltimore get this guy? Like every pick, you're like, this guy's going to be good. And lo and behold, it's another guy to make that team be what they've been.
And what they do at the end of that first round a few years back?
Oh, Lamar Jackson.
Trade to get Lamar Jackson.
Yep.
But don't forget about what they did in free agency, too, in getting Derrick Henry.
Yep.
I mean, this is exactly what I think Lamar Jackson has wanted his entire career.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is the ability to actually have some help at the running back position. And, look, J.K. Dobbins is a nice player. He just hasn't been able to stay healthy. And now he's over in L.A. with the Chargers. You know, and we'll hear from him in just a little bit, but nonetheless, that's a team that got better. This is as good an NFL, I think, as we've seen in a long time. You just talk about these quarterbacks that are so good and these wide receivers that are so good. No, they don't play defense, and no, they can't hit. And it is all geared towards offense. And some people love that. I do love that. I wish they could hit a little bit more. I wish they could, I don't like the ticky-tack stuff at the end of the game when a defensive back has his hand on a guy's back and they call pass interference and it's a 50-yard penalty. Like, I don't like that. I wish that would be legislated out of the game. But aside from that, man.
That should be instant replay available.
I totally agree with you. They should, coaches should be available to challenge anything that happens on the field.
Or do the college rule. 15 yards.
Maybe that too.
Yeah, that challenge is coming in terms of being able to challenge everything. That day is coming. I think enough of the right people have been complaining loud. And I think the NFL is finally, I don't know, it's not going to be this year, but I think next year you could see.
Amon-Ra, friend of the show, NFL reporter for the 33rd team. Now, this is long. This is about 4 minutes long. I'm not going to play the whole thing for you, but maybe we'll play a minute, stop and talk about it, or 2 minutes. We'll see where we are. But this is Ari Meirov talking about your Detroit Lions.
Let's talk about the Detroit Lions offseason, because it's been fun to see their roster building approach throughout this process. And sometimes when you're a team and you make it to the championship game and you lose, especially in heartbreaking fashion, you go into the offseason and sometimes it's like, you know what? let's just go for it. We are so close. Let's go for it. Let's add a big name. And there's probably no better example than the Buffalo Bills a few years ago, who kept on making it to the playoffs and kept on hitting the Chiefs or the Bengals or whatever it was. And they decided, you know what, let's go sign Von Miller to a big contract. Let's go restructure a bunch of contracts. And here we are this offseason. We finally saw they once again fell short. And we see now the Buffalo Bills kind of going through a reset right now. And the Lions could have done the same thing this offseason, but they decided, you know what? We are not going to do that. We're not going to go all in. We're still going to be very smart. And I look at all the signings they made in free agency, whether it was DJ Reader on the defensive line. It was not a big spend over there. Marcus Davenport, a one-year deal. Kevin Zeitler on the offensive line. In the secondary, they decided to trade for Carlton Davis instead of going for a bigger name. They signed Amik Robertson. None of these guys are big money deals, but they're all really solid players who are going to help them in 2024, and they are really good culture fits as well, which obviously is so important for Dan Campbell. And then look ahead to the draft and what they did last week. They trade up in round 1 for Terrion Arnold, the Alabama cornerback, who was cornerback 1 or 2 on most boards. And then in the second round, they go ahead and address cornerback again with Ennis Rakestraw Jr., another guy for this.
So I thought the interesting part about this was the comparison, Braylon, to the Buffalo Bills, who Buffalo, year in and year out, going toe-to-toe with Kansas City. They cannot get over the hump. You get desperate. You make that one splash free agent signing like a Von Miller, and everything goes south from there.
Yeah, 100%. You know, they kept getting caught up, like you said, Cincinnati, Chiefs. Now we got to go get somebody to go get Von Miller. They give him a deal where Von's 34 when they give him the deal. They give him a deal for $125 million, $140. What are you thinking?
Right.
Like, what are you thinking? They could have gone out and done that, but they built it their way. Like, a lot of people had a lot of concerns about Brad Holmes and the Lions each year. Even now, people are still questioning the moves. But when you look at it, you appreciate they did it their way, but at the same time, you love it that they did it their way. They took their time. We wanted them to bring in, how many guys have we named in the last 2 years? Bring in what was it, the linebacker from Seattle? Bring in Bobby Wagner. Bring in Deshaun Watson.
Even this year, who did we want? We wanted the defensive back from Kansas City.
Bring in L'Jarius Sneed.
Bring in Chris Jones.
Bring in Chris Jones. Bring in Danielle Hunter. Bring in DeAndre Hopkins. Insert player that came to the market that was worth some money. We said, hey, you add him there, we'll be much better. They slowly built it. 3-13-1, 9-8, and almost made the playoffs. We know about the Seattle and the Rams game. Then last year, 12-5. They got all the way to the NFC Championship without getting these guys, without spending all this dumb money, drafting the right way, making a couple right moves in the offseason with the free agents. So they've done it that way. I got zero to say. I have zero to say. They've done it their way, and they're that close. That's why now we panic with the defensive back. Oh, we got to get a L'Jarius Sneed. Oh, this stuff happened with Cam Sutton. What are we going to do? I don't know if we trust Amik Roberts. They got two guys that could easily be the best 2 DBs in this class. They needed offensive linemen because Frank Ragnow is getting old, because Taylor Decker's hurt. They got 2 offensive linemen in this one that can actually play both positions, tackle and guard. It seems like they have the cheat code for something that nobody else has. It's almost like watching the Golden State Warriors when they were way ahead of everybody, shooting the 3 ball, shooting half court. It was unfair watching Golden State. That's how I feel when I watch Brad Holmes draft and the players and the moves they're making. He's got a cheat code that nobody quite yet has.
You know, I never thought I would say this, but I don't think all championships are created equal. And
No.
the reason why I say that is because, like, I feel like that if you won a championship, you still won the championship. You have the memories of that championship, and nobody can ever take it away from you. Meaning the 1997 Marlins are the champions. They went for it for 1 year.
Yep.
They went all in for 1 year. They won the championship, and then they sold everybody off. Bobby Bonilla, and the list goes on and on and on.
Yeah. Look at the Rams.
The Rams. Now the Rams have reloaded, but the Rams, F them picks. The Rams go in a 1 year. Now the Rams reloaded. Fair or not, but I was thinking more of like the Marlins kind of championship than anything
like
else.
Steinbrenner used to do.
Yeah, but if I would much rather a championship. I think it is more special the way I think a championship is more special the way the Bad Boy Pistons won it, the way the Going to Work Pistons won it.
What about the Bulls?
The way the Bulls won it.
Yeah, they built.
Then the way the Miami Heat won it with LeBron.
Bosh and LeBron.
Yeah.
Bosh and LeBron. Shoot, KD going to Golden State.
Right. Like,
essentially.
Does that...
100%. I think that...
Because I've always just been, championship is a championship is a championship. But like when you think about these things, like it is, if the Lions ever won a Super Bowl, I think it is awesome the way they're doing it.
I think
this.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, the trophies are equal.
Mm-hmm.
No matter how you build it. If you go all in and you hit and you sell everybody off like the Marlins, that trophy is still equal to what insert team here did. But to your point, that journey is more special. The memories of it are more special because you got guys that came here where they told this franchise is dead. You got a coach that wasn't supposed to be here after year 2. You got an owner in Sheila Hamm.
Stories.
It's the story.
Yeah.
You got an owner in Sheila Hamm who looked like she was in over her head with the Quintricia situation. You got players, Amon-Ra St. Brown, drafted in the 4th round, knows everybody drafted before him, has shown them up in a major way. Jared Goff, the thrown away quarterback, now the guy that's about to get extension. The story is amazing. So if they were to knock this Super Bowl out this year or the next, the story of that journey, it's going to be one for the ages because you're talking about the very first, and you're talking about year after year after year after year of disappointment. And all of a sudden, the group that you wouldn't think would have got it done.
And I also think it's good to struggle. I think the
struggle builds character.
I do. I think the struggle, the fight, losing, I think that builds a lot of character, and I think that builds character in a fan base as well. When you talk about losing to San Francisco, you look at San Francisco.
Hey, you talking about going all in. Real question for you, San Francisco 49ers. How many times can they go all in?
Right.
Because I got a feeling that this team is no longer that dominant team that we saw the
they're
last
on their
couple
way
seasons.
down. I don't even think they win the division this year.
Rams.
Yeah, Rams will win that division.
Matt
probably.
Stafford, yeah.
Yeah,
barring
no doubt.
injury.
Men who need no introduction. The Hall of Famer himself, Calvin Johnson, and Rob Sims, partners together with Primitive Performance. You guys have so much going on. Thank you so much for being here, fellas.
No, man, thanks for having us. Appreciate it.
Good.
Big time. I had to wear my Puma fences today. Give me a couple extra inches. You know what I'm saying?
Guys, when we heard a couple of weeks ago that you guys now partnering with Comerica Park and the Detroit Tigers, I mean, the partnership with Ford Field, this thing is moving along at a rapid pace. When you guys started business together, did you imagine this where you would be right now with these partnerships and with everybody getting on board with it?
I mean, when it first started, probably not. But, as we formulated a vision, through time as the business started, this is where we wanted to be. We wanted to set ourselves up to be able to be in a position where we could be able to have those conversations with the corporations and the leagues that we're doing right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think when we first started out, we thought it was possible. Didn't think we'd be here this soon. And it's really cool, man. We really built the brand to be something that could break through barriers, and it's starting to do that, man. So it's great to see that.
I think the education of it, too, with you two guys putting your names on it, I think for a lot of people that may have had some sort of preconceived notion of what they think cannabis is or what CBD is or anything like that. I think it kind of breaks down some barriers and some levels of that too, and they allow people to be educated about the benefits of what you guys are doing.
I mean, the platform, allows for penetration into the market at the end of the day. So that allows for that message to be able to get out there, and if we can simplify that message, the better.
I appreciate you guys. I tell you this all the time, man. Proud, fellow NFL player, fellow brother in arms, to see what you guys are doing. It's great for other players to do it, and I think it's also great that guys are seeing it while they're still playing so that they can leverage their teams while they're playing. You know how it is, like when you're done, you're done. It's a little bit harder. I mean, unless you're going to the Hall of Fame like this brother over here, but glad to see it. looking back at the journey, what has been the hardest part so far? And then maybe if it's still going on, it's now. What has been the hardest part in the journey?
Man, I think when you come into an industry that has that the industry is new, the rules are new, building the actual business is new. The people that are coming in and who are the experts in that business or have experience in that business are new to that style of business. So I think it's been really just finding our place and our niche, and really sticking to our guns and saying, hey, look, this is what we do, and along with bringing a lot of those things that we learned in the league, right, and really shaping up a company we could be proud of. And a company that's got some great legs to it,
With the city coming back, I don't want to take up all the questions, but it just kind of hit me. With a city that's coming back in Detroit, you see the Hudson building, you see the Lions, you see the moving and shaking downtown. Like getting in with the Tigers, has it made a bit easier to penetrate downtown Detroit as it relates to some corporations and things of that nature?
It's a good time for the city. You know, it's a good time for, I guess you could say, new things. And then cannabis and not necessarily cannabis, but when we were talking about the minor cannabinoids, the CBD, CBG, CBN, and CBC, and how those things come together and create that great anti-inflammatory product. Timing-wise, I think it's great timing.
Hey, guys, this is a topical solution. So this is something that you could put on an ache and pain, and it's going to go right in there. It's going to help. You get stuff over the counter, but this stuff's going to be a little bit better, I would think, huh? A little bit more quickly acting.
Yeah, I think the cool thing about what we've done here is like we combined our former world in football and how we deal with pain management and our current world, right, and fuse those together. So, not only are you getting a CBD product, but you're getting a CBD product that we would use when we were playing.
Yeah.
Right. So it's got a PLO base along with the other minor cannabinoids we were talking about. And, we just really focused on being anti-inflammatory and putting those properties into it. So the group SIP that helped us put this together, man, we really thought they were forward-thinking in what they were doing. And, the outcome is beautiful, man. We think we got something that's really special that can compete, with topicals in general, just not CBD things. So we think it's some of the future.
And a big differentiator is when we talk about the technology. It's pharmaceutical-grade technology. We're using nanoparticles. And what that does is it allows it to penetrate our systems, getting through the intestinal system, getting into the bloodstream, making it more bioavailable for the user, and in the end, more efficacious.
And you talk about the user, Calvin. You do not have to be a professional athlete to see the benefits. This is for people like Tom Mazawey, who pulls a hamstring walking out of his car, stepping out of his car, waking up in the morning, getting out of his bed.
I got a bad elbow right now.
Rob said it, man. We use it. We made it with us in mind, professional athlete in mind, but it's for everybody. Anybody with those everyday bumps and bruises, any kind of inflammation, use it.
Why'd you have to make me as the?
Well, I was going to say me, but I thought you'd be a little bit bigger of a punching bag.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
But again, anybody with it's all about recovery. And I think back to when you guys are players, and I was never a player, although I never came out of the game in high school. I was a very good high school player, I'll have you know. Sorry, that's Braylon
okay.
hears that stuff.
That's all right.
but
I gotta rock with you, my guy.
Yeah, right. Thanks, Bray. Sure. If you guys had something like this available to you when you were a player, I think of all these documentaries that I see with former players and all the pills that they pop just to get through the day,
livers and kidneys, just beats
and it doesn't have to be like that. Do you think about that person as well when you have this product like this?
Yeah, absolutely. My father played in the NFL, so I heard stories of a generation even before ours about what different remedies they would use to be ready to play on the field. You know what I mean? And,
yeah, beer.
We would hear those things now and think they were nuts, but that's how they cope, right? So now, for us, I just think if we had this product that was fast acting, you know what I mean? Those 17 train wrecks that you got to go through a year, you know what I mean? I think that would definitely benefit us.
When will all the sports, the main bodies of all these sports, the NHL, Major League Baseball, NBA, NHL, NFL, when will they all accept everything and just let it be legal?
You always have this effect where everybody's looking at each other and seeing what happens. Obviously, the NFL seems to be always the last one, and for the NFL, this is technically like a bargaining chip for the owners, the players. At the end of the day, that's at the end of the day, it's business. Yep. But for some of these, NFL, MLB's in, NBA, I believe, is in. Correct me if I'm wrong. What other league is in?
You think
Is it
NHL?
NHL.
Soccer?
I think soccer.
Yeah,
Is,
soccer's in.
I think
So-
soccer is in.
But it's just a snowball effect.
Yeah.
It's just the beginning.
And you think about a pitcher in baseball too. Can you imagine, like, you know,
He a little
Oh,
arm, bro.
right, you know,
Yeah, a little relief for
right,
sure.
a little bit of
Yes.
relief. There's no doubt about it. Primitive
bit of relief.
primitiveperformance.com is the website if you want to check it out. Calvin Johnson, Rob Sims in the house. Fellas, it's so great to be with you. And I know we want to talk a little bit about some football as well, but Bray, you had one more you wanted to talk about?
No, I wanted to ask a question. You know what I want to ask?
Oh, go ahead, man.
Did you guys see what Austin Rivers said?
So I had a comment earlier today.
Okay, let's talk about
it's
this.
just laughable, we
Thank
just
you.
passed through it, But I was talking with Chris Canty earlier today.
Okay.
And we looked at it and we just laughed about it.
Yeah.
It's just like, bro, it's not the same. It's not the same. They don't have to get up off the ground.
What?
And grind. I mean, yeah, they play a lot of games.
A lot of love.
It's a whole different, 100%.
100%.
Respect
But
the grind.
stop it.
And it might not have came off like that when I said it earlier today. It was laughable
you feel
to
the
me.
type of way.
It's laughable
Yeah.
because it's just the way we got to harden our bodies. Like,
So
they don't
what
have
did
to
he
do
say,
that.
actually? Tell in case someone doesn't know what he
Austin
said.
Rivers said that 30 players in the NBA right now could play in the NFL, but there are not 30 players in the NFL that could play in the NBA. Although he may be correct about that, there's no way there's 30 players in the NBA that could play in the NFL. I know two. LeBron James in his prime and Anthony Edwards.
And it was a little bit more. It was a little bit more
Anthony
offensive
Edwards.
than that, Bray. It was. I could name 30 players right
Like,
now
it
off
was-
the top
it
of my
was-
head.
It was the ease in which the comment came out of his mouth. He was like, "Oh yeah," you're like, "Whoa, Austin."
But what they're seeing is a different NFL too
Yeah.
than what we played in.
It's not
The
as-
rules are a little different.
This is true.
It's not, it's a little bit, it's not,
Hands
as,
off.
we see it like today. We was like,
Yeah.
dog, how they just be
1,700
after 5
yards,
after
like,
5
what?
yards, contact, all that. I was like, that could have been useful back in the day. we could
talking-
have used that.
Look, the basketball, some of the best athletes in the world. You give them a lot of credit, bro.
100%.
But everybody, and I said this on the air, two things in this argument. One, every basketball player has that story. It was like, look, man, I went up for a pass, got hit, and I went to the basketball court. And the other thing about it, we got Bo, we got Dion. It's nothing else to talk about. There's nothing else to talk about.
You talk about the new rules in the NFL. Were you guys surprised? Obviously, NFL draft a couple of weeks ago, 14 players in a row in the first round taking on offense. 22 players, I believe. Actually, it's more than 22 players. An NFL
25?
record, 25 players
yeah.
taking from the offensive side of the ball.
Makes sense.
It is just an offensive league now. These
Makes
defenders
sense.
are crippled.
Yeah, exactly what we're saying. They're making it a lot easier for the guys on offense. So why not? You got to pour into it.
My goodness. What do you guys make of where the Lions are this year? A lot of people believe they are Super Bowl favorites in the NFC. I mean, the favorite in the NFC, just how far this organization has come.
Yeah, I mean, I feel really good about, what they've done, especially in the draft and the offseason. If I look back on when we played, we had star power, we had good offense, we had upcoming defense, but we just didn't hit in the draft.
Mm-hmm.
And you can tell the way they're drafting, they're really intentional about the picks, and they're looking way down the road, right? They're bringing in projects in the third round that they're looking and saying, man, we got this great offensive line that, we spend a lot of money on that's going to be able to, this guy's going to be able to fit right in. So you see them making those strategic plays. So, I mean, they're building it for the long haul, man, just not, trying to get the Super Bowl this year. So, I think we got a lot of years of fun football in front of us.
How about that kid you were just talking about? 6'8", 350 pounds from British Columbia. He's going to play offensive line.
You can't coach that. You can't coach that size, man. That guy, he wakes up with something special every day. You know what I mean? and to be in the, I just think about him being in the room with Panay.
Yeah.
And you got this guy that is larger than life offensive tackle that's going to be special, and this kid's going to be able to learn from him. So it's going to be great.
Fantastic.
Speaking of Panay, you guys play the two positions. I'm going to ask a question about how do you feel in terms of Brad Holmes, Dan Campbell, the front office, paying their guys when they deserve it, so you don't have to waste time with the back and forth. I know you yourself experience things of that nature. Just talk about what that does to players on the team.
Yeah, there's no. I mean, that the team is all in on you. They're invested on you. When you feel that, when they're all in on you, then it's hard for you not to be all in, especially with the way this organization is designed. Well, obviously, with Brad making moves and doing his thing with his history, and then obviously the player coach and Dan Campbell and what he surrounded himself with.
I saw the Amon-Ra St. Brown deal. I was like, good for him. And then he back in this.
No, you actually hated it. You were like, why couldn't I play now?
But you know what? There's only 2 wide receivers I've ever hated on. Like, I don't hate on anybody's money. I don't count anybody's chicken. But when I saw Christian Kirk at 24.5, and I saw a guy that used to play here go to New York and get $21 million.
Kenny Galladay.
What?
He's not even in the league anymore.
I digress.
Hey, Rob, I want to ask you an offensive line question. When you look at these guys, what are some of these guys going through? Like, whether it's Frank Ragnow or Taylor Decker or Zeitler, guys that are, getting closer to the end than to the beginning, especially now in the summer. Everybody thinks it's, you just show up to the game and play. This is where the work's happening.
Oh, yeah.
Right now. Yeah. Like, what are those guys going through when do they say, you know what, how much longer do I want to do this?
Yeah, I mean, I think you saw it with, Jason Kelsey was like a great representation of a guy, a warrior that had gone and done everything you can do at offensive line. And he was just like, this might be it. Mm-hmm. We all kind of saw that. These guys are not there yet. I think they still got some strong years ahead of them, but that knee is hurting right now.
Right.
Right. Them shoulders is hurting right now. Are you wondering, April, May, hey, why isn't this feeling better like it used to? Right. And man, I'm a couple months away when I got to go back into it where I won't feel a certain way. So that's a mental grind, when they feel like that. But like I said, man, when you got the other guys, you can kind of pull that energy out of, and you got Pro Bowlers and all-world players up there, man. So it's a different feel when you got that kind of room.
Okay, I got to ask you another wide receiver question. Without trying to get you in trouble, what does number 9 need to be working on this offseason so that he can come to the table and put himself in the best position to have success? This is year 3 for Jameson Williams. We know what happened in year 1. He was coming off the ACL injury. We know what happened in year 2. What does he need to be working on so that the Lions can get the best out of him?
Man, his availability. And I think when I say availability, it's really just hardening his body so that he's ready to go for 17 games. Obviously, that's hard to play a full season, but making sure your body is ready to go because things are going to come together for him. He's got to be on the field. The kid can make plays. Yeah. We can maneuver and coach little things.
So NFC Championship game.
Yeah, we can get those little bit things out and make sure he focuses here and there. Those are day-by-day things that we get. But as long as he's there for us throughout the season, as long as his body is available and ready to endure the season, we're going to be all right. As long as he's available, as long as my guys are available, I have confidence that they're going to make the plays.
Boy, you're getting passionate over there about the plan. I
be coaching.
Be jacked up over there.
About the loss of Josh Reynolds, a guy that was terrific for the Lions for the 2 years that he was here with Jared Goff. I mean, he made Jared Goff feel at home, come over from the Rams, former teammate. And then we know what happened. He had a bad game in the NFC Championship. They didn't re-sign him. He wanted a little bit more money than they wanted to give him. What's your take on his loss, Donovan Peoples-Jones being here? They got an undrafted free agent from Illinois that they brought in. What's your take on the wide receiver position going forward?
We definitely have our 1 and 2 solid. We got to get that third one solidified. Hopefully, Peoples-Jones can be that big playmaker that comes in like Reynolds did. Always just Mr. Consistent. Yeah. When we need him. Obviously, he had the tough game there at the end. And a lot. I'm sure. If those plays are made, that obviously those conversations go a lot differently. But it's just unfortunate that the timing of that. But I fully believe that Peoples-Jones being back at home in his backyard, hopefully that gives him a little energy to go out here and make some moves.
What do you think the biggest challenge for the Detroit Lions will be this year is? I think for a lot of us, they made it to the NFC Championship game last year, and you just automatically assume, well, they're going to get back there next year and maybe even beyond. How difficult is it to really take things in front of you? And what do you think some of those guys are thinking about right now in their biggest challenge this year?
I think the biggest thing is not to be thinking about the Super Bowl and the playoffs right now, right? It needs to be a one-step process. It's a process to get there. And even though, the city can be excited and have high hopes, those guys need to be obsessed about the actual work and the day-to-day work that it's going to take, right? We always not only our company when we're playing, it's always about keep stacking, right? They got to keep stacking those good days on top of good days. And there's gonna be a lot of us that's gonna be patting them on the back and saying how great they are, but it's a new season. Regardless, man, they got to go climb the mountain again. So they got to tool back up.
Is that kind of like that intentional drafting that you were talking about? You have to find guys that are willing to think like that, work like that, And that's what they've been doing over the course of the last several years.
I mean, the new guys when they come in, they're still wide-eyed. I mean, even if they came off a championship team, they're still wide-eyed looking for the leadership in the room, and hopefully that leadership isn't, like you say, like Rob was saying, living off of the year before. Hopefully they're looking back and it's like, dang, I could have did this better. I could have did this better, and start working on those things on a day-to-day basis so that when they come to those moments in the game, it's automatic.
What'd you guys think of? I'm sorry, Bray.
go ahead,
What'd you guys think of the NFL draft here in Detroit? I mean, did we
question.
knock it out? Hey, you stole my Jameson Williams, but I'm stealing this one.
Man, I tell you, I thought it was great on a lot of different levels. The biggest level for me is like, when I first got here, that Campus Marshes area and that Woodward area, that wasn't there. It wasn't like that,
Say that again.
So,
I'm from here.
And I look 13, 14 years later and what that's turned into. Like, this was a way we got to pull the curtain back and people to see what the new Detroit looked like. You know what I mean? That's what I thought was the coolest part about it, right? So now that stereotype, like it is in our business, right? You start to break down that barrier or those stigmas of what your city is, and more and more stuff comes, and it gets better and better from there.
Guys, I saw you got a chance to go on stage on Thursday night, the opening night. You got a chance to go out there. I was there on Friday night, got a chance to go across that stage. Isn't it crazy how things come full circle? Like, how was that experience being back, being on the stage again, if you will, and saying for myself?
It's crazy, man. Just from, all right, so being on the stage in New York, obviously it's changed cities and all that now. But being on stage and coming here to Detroit, driving downtown, seeing the city then, burnt down buildings, skyscrapers with blown out windows, it wasn't the murder capital, just maybe not too long before. But fast forward 17 years and the investment in the city, all the people that have come and put money into this town and like the sports teams are on the up and up. And seeing the draft come back and the beauty of our city, and now like the report card we're getting now is an A from the draft, or just from our city, not necessarily from the draft.
Right.
But and then the fact of being on stage, just seeing, I didn't know it was Campus Marshes. I didn't know where I was in Detroit because all I saw was 275,000 people. So it was amazing. It was quite an event. I never would have imagined Detroit having such an event.
I mean, really, the Lion fans, they showed out.
They did.
We all knew what the Lion fans were. I don't think the nation really knew what the Lions fans were until the last couple of years, because the Lions own the road.
I think that
they're on the road.
Stuff is over.
They're on the road, man. You see the blue in the stands. Yep. You hear the Jared Goff chants after they pick Caleb Williams. They're yelling Jared Goff. They're walking out of the place at 11 o'clock at night doing a Lion fight song, and then when they make their pick, the roar that went up is just. I got the chills just thinking about it.
Well, it's funny you talk about getting drafted to Detroit 17 years ago or whatever. Even Amon-Ra St. Brown, I don't know if you heard this from a couple of days ago. He said, when I got drafted to Detroit, you think you're going someplace to die. You know what I mean? Not literally, but career-wise.
Yeah. Career-wise.
You're not excited to play for the Detroit Lions franchise. But now these guys want to play for the Lions. That's just 4 years. You know what I mean? That's just the mindset of going to a place for career suicide and then going to a place now where people believe is a favorite to win the NFC and make it to the Super Bowl. That's a hell of a turnaround,
Absolutely.
The thing I love about it is, growing up, unless you got a Joe Dumars who and Isaiah Thomas invested, got companies, started companies, and they stayed. Most people, when their career was over, they were leaving Detroit. Like, I remember going to other cities and just like walking into, insert NFL player, NBA player, artist here, because they stay in those cities, those big markets. But seeing like guys like yourself, stay in the city, reinvest in the city, that's where the city can start winning. When you get the players, you get the people who reinvest in the city. I love it.
Guys, I know we got to get you out of here. A final note on Primitive.
Only 10 more questions.
What's next for you guys? I mean, the growth of your company and the success of your company and the partnerships, again, with Ford Field and the Detroit Tigers. Do you guys have skull session meetings? Okay, what can we do next? I mean, it just seems like the growth is on such a rise.
I mean, sky's the limit. Like Calvin said, it's really about just starting to open the door, and then you can kick the door down and go run through it, So I think you'll see, other teams eventually. And as we continue to keep breaking down the barriers, I mean, you're going to see us in more and more places. There's no place that product can't go. You know, that's the thing about it. We built it for that. We built the branding for that so that it could be in a place where children are walking by, right? And grandma could go pick it up and want to get it. So that's all been intentional, man. So it's sky's the limit.
It's awesome. Not only that, but creating a suite of products, man. Being able to come out with a suite of products, you know, along in the same perimeter performance line, you know, that's what's exciting, you know. And like Rob said, kicking down doors and being able to create more partnerships, obviously in the professional sports realm, collegiate realm. It's so many tentacles that we have from this business, and there's new things that pop up every day. But we're focused on what we're trying to do right here, and you know, opportunities will come as they may.
It's awesome.
Hey, look, I got the last one for you, Calvin, and it still sticks with me to this day. They don't know what a catch is, really, still to this day.
I don't know what a catch is. Like,
I can't get the Bears game out of my head. I can't, and then I can't get the Des Bryant game against the Green Bay in the playoffs after they ripped us off the week prior to that.
He's not lying to you, by the way. He literally can't get it out.
I can't. That's a catch. But you're am I wrong? Is that not a catch? What you did?
Get why you can't get it out your head, because that started off the season on the wrong foot, and it just cascaded. You know, they just went hard right, left, or whatever. So, no, man, you ain't the only one. You know, I try to forget it, and then you mention it.
I still have nightmares.
I'm sorry, but that's a catch.
Think about the bus ride home.
Right there.
I'm done.
Gentlemen, thank you so much. All the best. We are your biggest fans. Thank you so much. And we invite everybody to check out primitiveperformance.com. Primitiveperformance.com on the internet. Check out all their great products and get some help, get some relief.
For sure.
Calvin Johnson, Rob Sims, thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Ryan Ermanni, Braylon Edwards, and Tom Mazawey along with us. Dan Miller, the voice of the Detroit Lions, Fox 2 sports director, joining us now. Dan, how you doing, my friend?
Hey, Dan.
What's up, guys? How you doing?
Oh, doing great, man. Doing great. Now, I'll have you know, usually when you're on, you are my favorite guest of the day, but coming up next after you, we've got the manager of the Oilers, Kenny Holland, joining us. So
I'll allow it. I'll allow it.
Big game tonight.
He's got a lot of rings.
Oh, man, good old Kenny Holland. Just fantastic stuff. Kenny Holland will join us in about 20 minutes. Dan, let me ask you, I saw this from J.J. Watt, first of all. J.J. Watt, this is how players look at the schedule. They look at the first game of the year. They look at Thursday night games. They look at anything that will affect their routine. When is the bye week? And possible weather games like Buffalo in December or Miami in September. How does a broadcaster look at the NFL schedule?
I think he covered it, man. I think that's pretty much the same way. I think you definitely look. There were all these rumors that it was going to be the Rams on opening night, on a Sunday night opening weekend, and that makes sense. It was such a hotly contested game last year, so that one I was looking at to see who they play there, and then when he going to Chicago, when he going to Green Bay, those two cold weather cities, and obviously. We're going to Chicago late. We're going to Green Bay, and I'm looking at it now, Sunday, November 3rd. So I look at those, and then you look at, the blocks where you have like a couple of away games in a row. Late November, early December, you got 3 home games in a row, including Thanksgiving. So I think you just look for anything that kind of jumps out at you that way in terms of how, are you going to be home for basically a month there with those 3 games in a row?
Yeah, there was a block. I think it's September 30th. They're at home, and then they're not at home again until October 27th with the bye week and then two road games. I mean, they're away from Ford Field for a long time.
4 out of 5 weeks they're away from Ford Field with the Cowboys at Minnesota, home for the Titans, at Green Bay, at Houston. So, look, we know it's hard to win in this league. So that's basically, it is 5 weeks where you're going to be gone for 4 of them. So, look, I'm, Ryan, you and I have talked about this before. I'm not big on the whole schedule thing. And I just think good teams find a way to win 10 or 11 games. Bad teams find a way to lose 10 or 11 games. And I've never seen a team that said, well, we'd have been really good if our schedule had been easier. So, just find some way to.
We say that all the time in Cleveland.
What?
That was words to live by, Dan.
Ermanni will tell you that's on Cleveland's end.
That's right. That's on Cleveland's end.
No, but look, good teams win, man. That's what they do. So it's fun to see who you're playing and when you're playing them. But once you're in it, I mean, everything takes a different shape. What we think about these teams now will be totally different than what we think about them in September. And sometimes what you think about them in September is completely different than what you think about them in, October, November, December.
Hey, Dan, look, man, it's all fun and games right now, so let's keep it loose. We'll get serious as we get into August and September. But right now, you take away the rematch game, you take away the Rams, you take away the 49ers game. What is the game that you're looking on the schedule where you got to circle, you're like, oh, this game's going to be fun, or this game is going to be whatever it is. It's a game that you're looking at as soon as you glance.
Well, I would say that if you look at it being a Thursday night against Green Bay at home after they came in here in Thanksgiving last year and handed it to us, that would be one. And then I think at Green Bay too. Look, I heard Ryan talking about it going to break before you guys came to me. It's Packers are going to be good, man. Packers are going to have to contend with. So you look at those games and figure those are the teams you're going to have to beat. And we went into Green Bay last year and ran it up on them, and they came back and made it respectable. But look, they're going to be looking at the Lions as the team they have to beat. So I think those are going to be really, hotly contested games that teams circle. I mean, San Francisco on a Monday night, that obviously jumps out at you as well. Then Indianapolis going there because you get to eat well on Saturday night. So
hey, you know about it.
Go to St. Elmo's, get you a shrimp cocktail.
Exactly. I'm already tasting that shrimp. So you look at that because believe me, Saturday night restaurants play into this as well.
Because how Michigan has dominated the Big Ten, I always make my reservations at St. Elmo's a little bit earlier than most people.
You got it. You got to do it, man.
I got to pray about this
you're
one.
Not getting in.
100%. Last question for me. You look at the Lions in terms of what they were last year, 12-5 to get to the NFC Championship. They were inches away. Blah blah blah. I won't have to go backwards. A lot of people believe they've gotten better in the offseason. But when you say 13 wins, people are still, I don't know, 13 wins is a lot. This team is supposed to be better than they were last year. This team was number 2 in the NFC last year. So what's wrong with dreaming 13-4? They're supposed to find ways to win as one of the better teams, correct?
Yeah, no, look, and I don't know about putting a number on it. 13 feels like a big number for anybody, and I think that's probably where people go, whoa, you're only going to lose 4 of them out of 17. Yeah, no doubt. But you're right. They did win 12 last year, but Braylon, and again, you've been through this. I think it's the interesting thing now is how do you handle success? How do you handle expectations? Now, you had expectations within last year, but now you lost in San Francisco. You got to come back and do it all again. You got to come back and start over 0-0 and earn every single thing that you got last year. I was at Jared's press conference today where he's talking about his new deal and looking back and looking forward as well. And I'm looking at him and I'm just thinking, everything is great, but the hard part, and he knows this because he's been through it. He's been to a Super Bowl. He's been to the playoffs multiple times with 2 teams. The hard part now is just starting from ground zero and doing it all over again. So to your point, there should be expectations on this team, significant expectations on this team, because they were good last year. And I do think you can make the case that they're better right now. And I still think there'll be more additions to the roster before they even get to the regular season. So those expectations are there. But the reality of that is now going out there and doing it against a Rams team that's going to come in here fired up, against a Bucs team that's going to come in here fired up. Going on the road to Arizona is never easy. And then back against Seattle, who's had their numbers. That first month, we just named 4 games, guys. Yep. Nothing's going to be easy. So you got to go out there and earn it. And that, I think, is the fascinating part about this, and it's the fun part about it. We're in the conversation. That hasn't happened in a long time. We'd be sitting here thinking, can you eke out 8 wins in some years? But it's a good place to be. But also it comes with the expectations. And as I've said before, you need to be comfortable with being uncomfortable, because uncomfortable means people are expecting things from you.
Agreed.
All right, man. Hey, Dan, about Jared Goff's presser today. And first of all, your thoughts on the deal, the thoughts on the 3 players they signed, over $440 million they've laid out. But he said, and he made it pretty clear, it wasn't the money. And like Ryan says, it's always the money. But nonetheless, he said it was the security. He can now call his shot. He's got that no trade clause. There's not going to be any meetings in Cabo coming up on his back anymore.
Yeah, Maz, just I lost about half that question. Go ahead and just give me that again.
I was just going to tell you the money they laid out for the 3 players, $444 million, and then Jared Goff saying it wasn't about the money, it's about the security. What's your thoughts on that, the no trade clause, and him going forward?
I think Jared Goff has earned that. I think Jared Goff has earned his place among the best quarterbacks in this league. And when you're among the best quarterbacks in this league, you walk into the room with a hammer and you can demand a big contract. And it's not to say that the Lions weren't comfortable paying it, because I think they were. Look, the person that's had the most faith in Jared Goff from day one is Brad Holmes. When Brad Holmes traded for Jared Goff, he didn't bring him in here thinking, like a lot of people did, that he was just going to be a guy here for a year or two until they developed somebody. He believed that he could use Jared Goff as his number one quarterback and that he could lead this thing. So I think what's happening isn't a surprise to the front office. Dan Campbell has obviously had faith in him. But, you know, what's the difference between money and security? I don't know. You know what? When you're the best at something, you deserve to be paid as the best or among the best at something. And I think Jared just got what he has earned, enduring tough times, leading this team to a division title, leading this team to 2 playoff wins. That's how quarterbacks get paid. And then the next one's going to get paid and the next one's going to get paid. So, look, I'm thrilled for him. I've watched him, like you guys have, go through a lot of things here in Detroit, and he's come out the other side stronger, and he's come out the other side as a leader for this team and somebody the fans have rallied around, and a guy that's played at a really, really high level.
If you had to do that deal again, I'm going to put you in Sean McVay's shoes and Brad Holmes' shoes. If you had to do that deal again, do you think the Rams would have done that deal again? And I know they won the Super Bowl, and it's probably, I don't know. I just want your opinion on that.
I think so. I think, look, things run their course. And I'm not privy to everything that happened in L.A. with the Rams, but it became apparent that he was not McVay's cup of tea anymore for whatever was going on, and that things weren't going right on the field, and McVay wanted somebody different to run his offense. So, look, I think it worked out well for both teams. I think the Lions got their quarterback. I think Matthew got what he wanted. I think the Rams got what they wanted. They got a Super Bowl now. You know, look, we'll see if the Lions can finish the job and win one with Jared as their quarterback. But I think it would be revisionist to go back and say you wouldn't do it, because the time was different, the situation was different, and where these teams were is different now than it was then. If we're looking back at it now, we're looking back at it through the lens of what's happened. Well, you know, they gave up 2 first-round draft choices, but Jared's played really well and kind of reclaimed who he was. Would that have happened in L.A.? We don't know that. So Rams wouldn't give back that Super Bowl ring, I guarantee it.
No, that's a fact. And they've reinvigorated themselves again. Here they are, and Ryan's picking them to win the NFC West. About divisions, the Chicago Bears, of what they've done over the last few years, I think they've done a heck of a job. And do you think they are an actual player in that division now? Are they the Lions of a couple of years ago, the 9-8 Lions?
You know, the Bears were in the graphic last year for a playoff spot till like week 14 or 15 or something like that. They were playing well at the end of the year. So, look, I like you. I think they've done a pretty nice job there. I think they've built a pretty good team. They've got some major playmakers on offense now. And you got a young quarterback. I think that's really where my questions begin, is you got a guy who's never played at this level before and a guy who's never seen some of the things he's going to see this year. It's a lot to expect him to come in and do what a C.J. Stroud did or something along those lines. Can he come in and play at a high level right away, a high enough level that allows you to win a division? That's the question. But, look, I think their defense was solid last year. That offense has added some pieces, maybe some questions on the offensive line. But I think this division is loaded. I really do. I think the Packers are going to be good. I think the Bears are going to make you earn everything you get. I think Minnesota's kind of in an interesting spot in between, do we rebuild this thing or do we kind of try to retool as the car's moving here? I think they're clearly trying to still win this year, not thinking about retooling yet. And there's some pieces on that team that you don't want to mess with. Look, just walking in there and seeing Addison and Jefferson and Hawkinson when he's healthy is a problem. And we'll see how JJ comes along for them. But that's a well-coached team with some playmakers on defense. And I know they lost Danielle Hunter, and I am happy to see him go. But that's a team, too, that you're not going to walk in there and get anything. The Lions didn't get anything easy from them last year, and nothing's going to be easy this year. This division was better than people thought last year, and it's going to be really good this year. And circling back, yes, I think the Bears will be a factor.
Dan, last question. Is there a team when the Lions aren't playing, you look at the primetime schedule and the team that you want to watch? You want to sit down and watch?
I think Houston, based on what they did last year and then the acquisitions they've made this offseason, I've just mentioned Neil Hunter. They've gone out and gotten pieces.
Stephon Diggs.
Yeah, they've gone out and gotten pieces. I think that's a fascinating team to see. Okay, can C.J. Stroud build on what he did last year? Can that team continue to build on what they did last year? A lot of things came together for them a year ago. It's much like I talked about with the Lions. Now you need to do it. What's Act 2 look like when everybody knows who you are and you've got to go out and do it again? But I think as much as anybody in this league, I'm fascinated to see what they can do, because that was a heck of a year they put together last year, and they didn't just sit back. They revved it up this year and went out and got some players.
Hey, Dan, it's funny. When I asked you that question about teams, that was a team in my mind. I actually wrote down a piece of paper, Texas, for Ryan Ermanni. Yeah, that's the team I'm most excited to watch this year.
Yeah, I mean, you look at what they did last year, and then some of the, they added pieces that we already know can play in this league to that team. So I really want to see how that thing goes down there. And they clearly seem to love their coach and they want to play for him. So I think that's going to be a fun team to watch. Look, we're going to see them. The Lions have to go there on a Sunday night, which is going to be a fun matchup as well.
Dan Miller, voice of the Lions, Fox 2 sports director. Again, you could watch us every day on the Fox Local app. If you do not have that app, you should get it on your smart TV. Dan, thanks so much, bud. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Dan.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you. Talk soon.
All right, you got it.
Hey, did you have something you wanted to say NFL-wise? Or did you want to go off
I'm ready
the
to
end?
talk Lions OTAs a little bit.
Okay, let me go ahead. Take us there.
Take us there.
You asked me a week ago what I was most excited to see, and I basically talked about the rookies.
Yeah, because it was rookie camp. So it was a great rookie
But
camp.
I went over somebody that I and the rest of Detroit has never seen before.
Offense or defense?
He's on offense, and we've had him for a full year.
Antoine Green?
Hendon Hooker.
Oh, well,
So
do
this
you
is-
want to see him?
Well, I mean, everybody in Detroit wants to see him. I don't want to see him because I'm talking quarterback controversy, but this is a third-round pick that already is – there's some trade talk around the league of guys that might want this, or teams that might want this kid. But as Lions fans, we've never seen him. He was injured last year coming in. We didn't get a chance to see him in preseason. They did. There wasn't.
And we're not going to see him.
Well,
that's the thing. We're never really going to know what he could be. And a New York Giant writer put it out there yesterday. Should the Giants talk to the Lions to trade for Hendon Hooker? Because the Lions sure aren't going to use him unless, of course, God forbid, Jared Goff goes down with an injury. We're never going to see this guy.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and knock on wood on that one. What will be the
3 years? He'll be 30.
It'll be 29.
Yep, sounds like 30 to me. Round up.
Well, actually, no, 26, 27, 28. So, yeah, 29.
It's 30. I'm 30. You got past 26.
A 30-year-old rookie?
Let me ask you this, Maz. What
You're not intrigued to see him, though?
I want to see him.
Okay. That's
We're
what
not
I want
going
to know.
to.
Because nobody's seen him. There was no OTA talk.
Yeah.
There was
He's
no
secret.
preseason look. We never got a chance to look at him in a Lions uniform. He's changed his number, and we're actually going to get a look
Is
at
that
this
on
kid.
purpose? Is that because you don't want people to see him so that his draft or his trade value is still high or higher than it
I
would
don't know,
be?
man. But right now, the way it sits, they literally drafted a backup quarterback in the third round of a draft.
Okay, let me ask you this. If he was healthy and came out this year, he'd have been taken right around Michael Penix, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So we traded a third-round pick last year for a first-round pick this season, correct?
Yes, we did.
Okay.
Yes, we
so,
did.
moving forward, this is a guy that if we got a trade offer, Maz, what would it take to pry him from me? Would you give him up for a third-round pick?
I don't know what he is.
Well, but neither does New York.
I
Or
want
anybody else that wants to
at
trade for
least
him.
my third-round pick back that I used on him.
That's what I'm asking. Would you take a third-round back, or would you want more?
If I know Jared Goff's my guy, and I can go sign a backup just to back him up, yeah, I'd trade him. Otherwise, what good is he?
Jordan Love didn't get traded, and he looks pretty good right now.
Jordan Love was a young man when he was drafted.
I also think so too. Like, there's a difference in drafting someone that you are drafting to take over a franchise. Jordan Love was drafted to be the heir apparent for Aaron Rodgers when they were to make that move.
You don't think Hendon was?
Hendon Hooker was drafted because, one, he was a first-round potential talent that tore his ACL, so no Heisman Trophy, gets to the third round. We can pick him up in the third round. And if this Jared Goff experiment doesn't work, because, yeah, he was 3-13 his first year here, 3-13-1. Yeah, he was 9-8, and they almost made the playoffs. But almost is a hell of a thing compared to actually did. I think it was a fallback plan. And then when Jared goes off and does what he does in 2023, gets to the NFC Championship and finishes top 5 again, oh, okay, we don't need this backup plan. But now let's put the back plan on the burner so you don't get to see him too. The less you see somebody, the higher the value is. Look at Justin Fields this year, what he went for. Look what Mac Jones did this year. Look what he went for.
Yeah, for nothing.
Look what Trey Lance went for a year before.
Bag of balls.
No, he went for a third-round pick.
Yeah,
he went for more.
Both of those guys went for 6th-round picks because you ain't see Trey Lance.
That's true.
Right.
So you're thinking, like, what could he be? So I wouldn't show Hendon Hooker at all.
Now,
So
I
look
look back at that draft and go back to that draft where Hendon Hooker was picked.
Last
If
year,
you
yeah.
look, was it last year?
It was last year.
Okay, go to that. And then they took him, I think, 6th in the 3rd round. So he was a high pick in the 3rd round.
Yeah.
Everyone underneath him that they could have taken instead of him, no one really sticks out like, oh, wow, they could have had this guy. There are a few of them, and it's early yet. But I think they took him for just in case that Jared Goff didn't really take him to that NFC Championship game or win a playoff game. If he didn't win a playoff game last year, guys, would we have seen Hendon Hooker this year?
Number 5, and you know who went right after him? Tank Dell. He would look pretty good in Honolulu blue.
And the Lions need a wide receiver too. They needed one.
But don't forget the year prior to that they took
Jameson. But you still like you.
I know.
You can get that value wide receiver in the 3rd. You take it. At the same time, I agree with you, Mass. I think we're saying the same thing. But the reason why the Lions never have to worry about that, anything that happens with Hendon Hooker is going to be a bonus.
Yeah.
Because as opposed to looking at the pick for we missed out on Tank Dell or what we potentially could have gotten, just look at the 4 that went before him. You got Sam Laporta, you got Jahmyr Gibbs, Jack Kemp, and Brian Branch.
I get it.
I think those 4 hit in such a way, pause, that it doesn't matter what Hendon Hooker is or isn't because of how well you already struck gold in that draft.
I get it. I totally get it. But if you go back to like the Cowboys draft or the San Francisco 49ers drafts back in the day, how you really build your team all the way, build it. I mean, 3rd round, that's high to take a guy that you're probably not going to use. Now, I put the question out to you guys, and I think it's a pretty good topic. If Jared Goff had not won a playoff game last year, would we have had a chance to see Hendon Hooker play this year?
Yes. Yes.
Maybe.
And I don't think Goff would have gotten paid either had he not won. And this is just he won, so it's moot.
I think yes, and the reason why yes, because if you're slating it out the same way that it played out, that means they would have played Matt Stafford Rams in the 1st round. That means we're saying they would have lost to the Matt Stafford Rams, which they almost did anyway.
Correct, 1 point.
But 100% and 2 blown calls, one on Puka, one on Matt Stafford.
And the Rams are driving at the end.
So if that happens, now you're looking at a situation. Why do we happy Jared Goff got paid? Because he won 2 playoff games. Because he almost won a 3rd.
Should have.
100%. You're looking at that. So you're like, well, he did this, so I validate him getting paid. If he doesn't do that, people still are not happy with the Jared Goff
even though he did what he did
after the 2 wins.
Yeah.
So to your point, 100% we would have saw him in a space or see him in a space, so they would have shown him a little bit more in OTAs. They would show him more in minicamp. They'll show him more in training camp, and they'll start to create just a natural quarterback controversy. If a guy doesn't win a playoff game and you draft a 3rd rounder that could have been a 1st rounder the year before, it's a natural storyline right there for a QB comparison.
Especially in Detroit.
They're still ready to get rid of Jared Goff.
No doubt about it. There's still people calling for Hendon Hooker after we gave Goff the money.
And he won 2 games, should have won a 3rd. That was not his fault.
But they're separated by 4 years, all right? Goff's going to turn 30 this season. Hendon Hooker's 26. There's a scenario here for me that in 3 years, if they don't win a championship, you will see Hendon Hooker under center for this team. Period.
I'd say, yeah.
So I want to see him. every other team does too. I get the idea of hiding him and driving that value, but all he has to do is come out and show one good half in preseason, and that value doubles.
This is true. This is true. So I guess you got to get him ready for the season. But we got a guy in Ben Johnson he's ready to rock and roll too. You know, you look at what that offense has been, and that's something I'm ready to see evolve as well, Maz. You look at what Ben Johnson's offense has been. It's 2 years now. This will be his third year as offensive coordinator, and the offense has gotten better, and better. The only time his offense has really stalled, if you want to be honest, is when Frank Ragnow was hurt.
Yep.
Outside of that, the offense has thrived every year, and I think now he gets a chance to use maybe the shiniest new tool in the shed, although it's not new, Jameson Williams. I think when Ben can build that trust and they can establish something.
I know we ask this almost every other week, but here it is, Jameson Williams. It's his first year. Let's just say it. It's his first year. He's not a rookie anymore. He's not injured anymore.
He's not suspended anymore.
He's nothing. He's got a full year. What do you want out of him? What do you expect out of him? What is a good season? What is a great season for him? And what is a disappointing season?
Well, I kind of want to ask that question in the sense of what's the over-under on his targets this year? What would you say?
I couldn't guess.
90, 95, 100?
I'd say 85 targets.
Okay.
So you're going to use him out of the backfield too, running reverses and all of that kind of jazz.
If Lion fans are looking for a certain amount of catches and a certain amount of yards, you're looking for the wrong thing. What you need to do is look at what this kid provided in the NFC Championship, and that's game-breaking plays. This guy's never going to be an 8, 9, 10 target per game guy. He doesn't have the hands to, but he can break any game open at any moment on any play he touches the ball. So I think, setting that over-under, I would go under 95.
Yeah.
Which probably puts him in the realm of 65 for maybe 750. But if we see 10 touchdowns out of this kid,
then that's a win.
The whole offense changes.
Yes, that's a win.
This is what I put down when you asked about realistic expectations for Jameson Williams. I put down 60, 1080, 7 touchdowns.
1080?
1080.
Wow.
I mean, he is a yards after catch guy. This is why we drafted him out of Alabama. If you're trying to get the max out of him, if you're trying to go back and recoup 2 years at 12th pick overall where you moved up 20 picks to do, you got to stop looking at this kid in that light. That ship has come and sailed. Now, you want this guy to be a player to the tune of Amon-Ra St. Brown can have more success in his offense. Sam Laporta, more success. Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, more success in his offense. And whoever is the third wide receiver option. You give him 60, 1087, that's not asking a lot. There's 17 games now in the NFL. You're on the best offense in the NFL that was last year. They scored the most touchdowns in the NFL last year without you. Get rid of Josh Reynolds. I'm telling you, 1080 is not too much to ask for in this offense, 7 touchdowns and 60. And then also, like you said, he's a dual threat guy. He had a reverse for a touchdown in the championship. They'll find ways to use he and Jahmyr Gibbs similarly. Look for 12 touches, look for 200 yards and maybe 2 touchdowns from the rushing aspect of it.
Yeah, if he hits 1,000+ yards from scrimmage, both receiving and on the ground, it's going to be a really, really dangerous offense.
Absolutely.
He will have graduated.
Almost unstoppable.
Yeah, he will have truly graduated to that number 2 receiver, and he will make us all forget the name Josh Reynolds.
He might be a number 1 receiver. We don't know yet.
Yeah,
that's why they drafted him. They drafted him to be a number 1 receiver.
Yep.
Amon is supposed to be a number 2 receiver. Am I wrong on this one?
You mixed a lot of things in there. 100%. Amon-Ra St. Brown is supposed to be the number 2. Jameson Williams is supposed to be the number 1. It didn't happen like that, but maybe you got lucky and got 2 ones.
Correct.
Maybe it allowed Amon-Ra St. Brown to develop as a 1, now the highest paid number 1 in the NFL, or the number 3 highest paid in the NFL. And then maybe Jameson Williams, look, he was young, he was injured, something happened, mental distraction. There's already a young, fractured psyche. Now you got a guy, like you said, experience, time, and trust. It changes who a player can be, and it changes the complexity of what he can potentially do. So I think this is the year we really judge Jameson Williams. I think the past is done. I think this is the year you say
absolutely
what he is.
If he's a 1,000-yard receiver, can you imagine what St. Brown's going to be?
1,500.
The whole team.
Think about it.
Sam Laporta. Like there's almost not enough, there's almost not enough yards to go around.
Correct.
If everybody's doing this, how many passing yards is Jared Goff gonna have? Like, we start throwing numbers like 1,000.
What's the record?
Sam Laporta, 1,000.
What's the record for a regular season? It's got to be Dan Marino, right?
No, 54-55. Peyton.
Peyton Manning?
Peyton. 55 touchdowns and 54.
There's no reason that Jared Goff can't hit that number.
Yeah, there's a big reason.
54-77.
I was off by 3 yards.
There's a big reason why.
There's a big reason why, because nobody else has hit it yet. Patrick Mahomes has tried. Josh Allen has tried.
Patrick Mahomes don't have the team around him that
true.
this team does.
This is
Think about that. Isn't that something?
Ryan Ermanni has always said there'd be a 6,000-yard passing quarterback. I told him he's crazy, but hey, look, what if? He's not going for 50.
If the Lions
Jared Goff can't even get past 4,800.
If the Lions need to throw for 6,000 yards, this isn't the team that we're hoping for.
Yeah,
They
100%.
don't need to throw that much.
Like, Jared Goff doesn't need to have, like, if Jared Goff had 5,000, I think 5,000 would be the mark. Then I'm like, all right, no more. Like 5,000-yard passing.
That means if we're throwing for 6,000 yards, that means our defense is not good.
And it also means, where the hell is Dave Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs?
Yeah, 100%.
There's so much talent, man. It makes me laugh.
The fact that
makes me laugh.
The fact that we can have this what if type of conversation, it's gonna be a what if season, man.
We're talking about the Lions. We're talking about the Lions,
Lions
and their
baby.
endless list
In the
of
words
weapons.